Ladies and gentlemen, you are not here to chase the shadow of wealth. You are here to awaken to the realization that you are the source of it. Money is not something external to you. It is not in the hands of others. It is not locked away in banks. It is not something you must earn through toil and sweat. It is you, mirrored back to you by the world you believe to be outside. This world is not outside. It is yourself, pushed out. Don't look for money, become it. The greatest illusion is that the power to manifest wealth lies in effort, competition, or luck. But the truth is infinitely more simple and more powerful. The only substance in this universe is consciousness. All that you see, all that you touch, all that you call real, flows from consciousness, your consciousness. Money is a symbol, nothing more, a symbol of value, of freedom, of possibility. And symbols obey the laws of consciousness. When you embody the feeling of wealth, when you assume within yourself the state of one who lacks nothing, then and only then does the world conform to reflect that truth. You were never meant to chase money. You were meant to express wealth. The man who chases money reveals his own lack. The man who becomes money, who lives from the inner knowing that he is abundance made flesh, never has to seek. He simply attracts by law. Now I tell you, go within. Imagine what it feels like to be financially free. Not one day in the future, not someday, but now. What would your inner conversation sound like? What would you do? How would you feel? Who would you be if money was no longer a concern? Wealth is not an object to be gained nor a destination to be reached. It is a state of consciousness, a condition of being. This understanding marks the turning point in the life of anyone who seeks to transcend struggle and enter into the effortless flow of abundance. It is not about working harder, chasing more opportunities, or manipulating external conditions. Rather, it is about recognizing that all external conditions are expressions of your inner state. When you change the inner, the outer must follow. The mistake most people make is believing that wealth is separate from them. They see money as something that exists out there, in banks, in the pockets of others, in business deals yet to be made. They believe it must be acquired through effort, strategy, or even luck. And while such means can yield temporary results, they are built upon a false premise that you and money are distinct, and that the power to create wealth lies somewhere outside your own being. But consciousness is the only reality. Everything you experience, whether it's poverty, wealth, struggle, or ease, springs from your own consciousness, your beliefs, your assumptions, and your dominant emotional state. There is no outer world independent of your inner world. The so-called material world is simply the crystallization of your inner state of mind. If you live in a constant state of lack, if your internal dialogue is one of fear, doubt, and worry about money, then no matter how hard you work or how many opportunities you chase, you will continue to experience lack. It is not a punishment, it is law. To understand this law is to unlock the secret of manifestation. The outer world reflects the inner world, just as a mirror reflects your face. And just as you wouldn't attempt to change your reflection by altering the mirror, you must not attempt to change your financial reality by manipulating external conditions alone. You must begin with consciousness. You must begin within. When you assume the consciousness of wealth, not hope for it, not wish for it, but assume it as your present reality, you set into motion unseen forces that reshape the circumstances of your life. This is not imagination in the sense of fantasy. It is imagination as creation. Your imagination is not a toy, it is divine. It is the very creative power of the universe working through you. What you imagine with feeling, what you accept as true in your heart, must manifest in the world around you. This is why simply affirming wealth or visualizing money without feeling or belief often fails. It is not about repeating words. It is about feeling the truth of what you desire as if it is already so. When you dwell in the feeling of being financially secure, when you walk and talk and think as one who already has all that they need, you become aligned with the state of wealth. That state begins to express itself through channels that the rational mind could never predict. You might be inspired with a new idea. Someone might come into your life with an opportunity, or your current work may suddenly expand. But the form is secondary. What matters is that your inner state has changed, and so the outer world must rearrange itself to reflect that change. This is the power of assumption. What you assume to be true of yourself and your world becomes your experience. If you assume lack, you perpetuate it. If you assume abundance, even when outer circumstances suggest otherwise, you call it into being. This is not about denying reality, but about realizing that what we call reality is often just an echo of our past assumptions. If you want a new experience, you must assume a new truth. This is why becoming wealth in consciousness is so powerful. You cease to seek. You stop striving. You no longer try to inject money. Instead, you become the person who has it. You take on the identity of one who is free, secure, and empowered. From this identity, your thoughts change. Your emotions change. Your actions change. Not from force, but from natural alignment. You begin to behave in ways that are consistent with wealth, and your world responds accordingly. This is not a one-time effort. It is a practice, a discipline of mind and heart. The world may tempt you to return to the old patterns, to worry, to doubt, to react to appearances. But when you remember that appearances are only the shadow of past thoughts, you regain your power. You remain in the state of wealth, regardless of current evidence, knowing that your assumption will harden into fact. The beauty of this truth is that it puts the power where it belongs, within you. You are not at the mercy of economics, background, or chance. You are the operant power. When you shift your consciousness, the world bends to reflect that shift. And so the work is simple, though not always easy. Live in the state of wealth, mentally and emotionally, even before it shows up in physical form. Speak from that place. Think from that place. Sleep in that feeling. What would it feel like to know your needs are met? To feel the joy of giving freely, the peace of not worrying, the confidence of knowing that money flows to you easily and naturally? Dwell in that state. Let it saturate your being, and then watch as the world echoes back the music of your inner song. The real treasure is not money, but the realization that you are the source of it, not because of your effort, but because of your ente awareness. When you embody the state of wealth, money becomes a natural consequence, not a goal. You do not chase it, you express it. This is the essence of becoming money, not acquiring, but being. When you know yourself as wealth, the world must agree. And so I say again, don't look for money, become it. You are not meant to chase money, you are meant to not embody it. The very act of seeking implies that what you desire is separate from you, distant outside of your reach. This belief that money is something out there to be captured, earned, or won is the foundational illusion that keeps so many locked in cycles of striving, disappointment, and scarcity. But the moment you awaken to the truth that you are the source, not the seeker, you step into a different relationship with life itself. To become money is to realize that you are the origin point of all manifestation. Money is not a power, it is a symbol, a tool, an outer reflection of your inner state. When you recognize this, you cease to beg the world for wealth and begin to command it, not through force, but through alignment. The shift is subtle but profound. It's the difference between running after the wind and becoming the breeze. The world mirrors who you believe you are. If you believe you are someone who is lacking, struggling, or unworthy, your reality will reflect those beliefs. You may work hard, seek every opportunity, and pursue success with relentless effort, but if your inner identity is rooted in lack, your outer world will never offer lasting abundance. You might catch glimpses of prosperity, but they'll fade because you haven't changed at the core. But when you change your inner concept of self, when you assume the identity of one who is already abundant, already successful, already secure, then money, opportunities, and resources begin to appear effortlessly. You don't need to chase them. They come to you, drawn by the magnetic power of your own assumption. You come, the person for whom wealth is natural, and so it becomes natural in your life. Becoming money does not mean pretending to be rich. It does not mean putting on a mask or faking a lifestyle you cannot sustain. It means going deeper, much deeper, into your self-concept. It means identifying and then discarding all the old ideas you've held about yourself. That you're someone who always struggles, someone who must work twice as hard as others, someone who is unlucky with money, someone who comes from nothing and must prove their worth. All these ideas, though they may have been reinforced by years of experience, are just beliefs, and beliefs can change. And when they do, everything else must change too. The outer world has no choice but to follow the inner script you write. The person who becomes money does not beg. They do not fear. They do not grasp. Instead, they rest in the awareness that what they are seeking is already within them. They cultivate a quiet confidence, an inner stillness that says, I am wealth. I am the source. This confidence is not arrogance. It is power rooted in truth. It is the peace that comes from no longer being ruled by appearances, and instead living from the knowing that consciousness precedes form. You become money by one feeling, like one who already possesses it, not someday, now. You stop placing your freedom in a future moment and claim it here internally before the evidence appears. You create a vibrational atmosphere that matches the reality you desire, and in doing so, you become the cause rather than the effect. You stop reacting to life and start creating it, and life responds. Unexpected income, new clients, promotions, ideas, investments, partnerships. These are the shadows cast by a new inner light. They are not miracles. They are the natural outcome of your changed identity. You no longer need to scheme, manipulate, or exhaust yourself chasing outcomes. Your job becomes inner alignment, and from that place, right action follows easily, intuitively, and powerfully. But this path requires honesty. You must be willing to see where you have lived as the seeker. You must acknowledge the patterns of fear, doubt, and unworthiness that have shaped your experience of money. And then, with compassion and clarity, you must let them go. You must replace them with new assumptions, new feelings, new mental conversations, not just once, but daily, moment by moment. To become money is to become the version of you who already has what you desire. How do they think? How do they feel when they wake up? How do they speak about life, about opportunity, about themselves? Begin to think and feel as they do, and you will become them. You are not becoming something foreign. You are remembering who you truly are beneath the layers of conditioning and fear. This is the art of deliberate creation. You are not here to react to the world. You are here to mold it, not by changing the world directly, but by changing the inner assumptions from which it arises. Money flows not to those who need it most, but to those who are most aligned with the state of having it. This is not unfair. It is law, and this law works flawlessly. If you embody scarcity, even while striving for abundance, you will reproduce scarcity. If you embody abundance, even when appearances suggest lack, you will give birth to wealth. This is the paradox and the power of assumption. The outer world cannot help but reflect your inner world, though often with a delay. That delay is not denial. It is simply the time it takes for your new vibration to harden into form. So you must be steadfast. You must persist in the assumption of wealth, not because it looks true, but because you have chosen it to be true. You must walk as one who already is, speak as one who already has, think as one who is no longer seeking. This practice will change you. It will strip away the neediness, the worry, the desperation. It will restore your center. You will begin to live from a place of quiet certainty, not because you control everything, but because you finally realize that you would create everything. And when you become money in consciousness, you will find that the chase is over. You no longer seek because you already are. The world reflects your inner wealth back to you in infinite ways. You give freely, you receive gratefully, and you live from a deep well of sufficiency that no amount of money could ever buy, because it is not something you get, it is something you can become.